As with everything, what most people see is not really what happens. And what the obvious surface answers are is not really the real things that go on, although people tend to think they do know. I'm going to point out something about Iran. I always thought, they're not pursuing nuclear energy because, they want peaceful energy, because nuclear energy is basically for electricity. It doesn't impact the overall energy consumption of a nation too much. I'm going to point out two common sense things or three common sense things, basically. They have to disperse the research, development, production facilities. In other words, cost. You have everything in one area, it's a lot cheaper, but since, they don't want to get blown up by the Israelis, they have it in all these different places. And, they have it around civilian areas, so it'll be, the Iranian population would be extremely mad and request revenge in an attack. Plus, it would bring about all kinds of criticism from the world community. Number two, there's a lot of cost in putting the vital sites under bunkers deep underground, right? A lot of money. And that's, you're talking about a nation, and I want to drive it home to this point and a couple other points, that has a huge supply of oil, okay? They are a very large oil producer, and they have I think they're number one in natural gas, which is a very clean fuel for producing power or whatever the heck you want to do. I think they're number one or number two in the world. They have more natural gas than even oil. So nuclear energy, and I want to point out another fact. Nuclear energy, uranium, the uranium they need to mine, then they have to enrich it. The uranium supplies for the nuclear reactors at current stand, the way they are in the world, will last for 80 years. So their oil would probably outlast, and their natural gas would probably outlast the fuel for the nuclear reactors. But I pointed out in the last video about thorium nuclear reactors, which don't produce any kind of plutonium or weapons grade materials that nobody uses because even though there's no danger of, much less danger of, what do you call it, a nuclear fallout or nuclear accident from a reactor, nobody does this. But China actually and India starting to do it, which is Iran's two biggest trading partners. So they're not going to take the safe technology and cheaper technology with abundant fuel. But I'm also stating they're going through a lot of money to put these things underground, harden them, spread them all out. No way in hell are they doing this just for peaceful purposes. I'll guarantee you that. And I'll guarantee you another thing. These Americans, I know what the Western people are doing. I know the Western elite are screwing over the average American citizens. But they're also, in Iran, they have some more of the radical religious leaders. I mean, that's one reason I think that we should have never went against Gaddafi and tried to stop him from doing the golden dinar in another way, because the guy did a lot of good for Libya, and now it's like you can't turn back. The damage is already done. So I don't know. I think our Western leaders are sometimes big-time fools. But there's another angle to this. If Iran is attacked and their oil fields survive, which they might because it looks like the attack will go strictly against the nuclear facilities, their oil is going to be worth twice as much. Russia will benefit in several ways because Russia is the number one oil producer in the United States, not Saudi. I mean, in the world, not Saudi. Russia surpassed Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is actually supposedly peak production already. Maybe they're going to peak. This is a 2009. Maybe they're going to peak in 2011. I don't know exactly when, but it's said they're around peak right now, and actually Russia's actually surpassed them. So what's going to happen is Iran is going to attack Saudi Arabia's oil fields. There may not be a retaliation on Iranian oil fields because there's going to be a lot of worldwide criticism of Israel and the United States for attacking the nuclear facilities in Iran where populations are. And I know Rand's full of it about the weapons grade materials because I'm telling you, the economics of it don't make sense. And that's what I look at. I look at why are they spending that much money for a nuclear program when it isn't producing hardly any energy compared to what they're getting out of natural gas, which they practically throw away. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, believe me, I pick up on that junk like nothing. But what's going to happen is Russia's oil is going to go way up in value. The United States domestic producers, which are big domestic producers, just that the United States uses so much energy, their oil is going to go up a lot. But the other thing Iran's going to get out of it is it's going to bring down the West big time economically. Gasoline in the United States goes to $8 to $10, and say in Europe it's on a dollar, a $14 or $12 gallon equivalent, and say in Germany. They're going to destroy the economies of the European Union and the United States, so they'll get a lot out of it too. So I think there's elitists on the top. We'll call them elitists, whatever you want to call them. They're going to benefit in multiple ways, all the way around, including Iran. So this was an article, and I always thought this. I heard this from way back, but it was confirmed that Iran had already gotten at least 6 thermal nuclear warheads brought in from the Ukrainian in 2003, which I figured, because when the Soviet Union dissolved, there was so lack of controls of anything that was going on. There was there was people out there that they were basically running an underground government, right in smack where the formal Soviet Union was. Very powerful people. They could do what the hell they want. If Iran has money, which they have money, they can get what the heck they want. That's just it. According to this article, and I found this very interesting, secret contacts between Prime Minister Ahmadinejad, I can't even say his name, okay, Ayatollah Khomeini, and counterparts in Israel, Russia, and Turkey had been outlining a plan to stage an attack on Iran by Israel with full permission of the key groups within the leadership of the Iranian government and clerics who oversee them. Members of the opposition groups have learned of this plan or livid. I put the Sopranos in here. Some stupid. It is meant to stabilize both the Iranian and Israeli governments, both which have strong opposition at home and face charges of corruption, and to correct major regional financial disaster. So this is going to come out good for Iran, the leadership of Iran. It's going to stop this Occupy Wall Street movement, because at $8 to $10 a gallon and food prices soaring, people are going to start. They're not going to bother with it as much. And if there's conflict between protesters in Wall Street, and cops, that's even more reason to bring a crackdown. So it's a very, very shrewd move by the elite. I think they're going to pull this off. Gas price manipulation bankrupted the oil companies and bled trillions of dollars out of the American economy. That's why it's going to kill the S&P 500, and not only destroyed our balance of trade, but it's lowered our standard of living, which is what they're looking to do. So I think they're going to do this, to tell you the truth. I think it's a pretty good bet. Alex Jones, he says different things. I think he's on here, Prison Planet, and but to tell you the truth, Iran's going to benefit from this too. The Iranian people aren't going to benefit from it, but the leaders are, because I think they're just still going to have their oil. They're still going to have their natural gas. It's going to be worth twice as much money, and it's going to, pull a lot of other people onto their side too in the Middle East. I tell you the truth, I think our Western leaders are not very bright. That was one reason they should have never went after Gaddafi in a million years. I don't know, they could have probably stopped him some other way with this golden dinar and oil trade and all this kind of stuff. But I think that was a foolish thing they did, big time. But in the long range, we're going to look at some serious energy crunches going on here. So the only thing I could say is people ought to start getting motorcycles or whatever the hell they're going to be doing, find some other alternative ways of doing things and prepare for the future. But this looks like a very, very sure bet in my mind. Iran's going to get something out of it because the oil price is going to go up. I don't think they're going to touch their oil facilities. Russia is definitely going to get a lot out of it because they're going to look like they're going to make the West look terrible as much as possible, even though Iran leadership is in on it. But then Russia and Putin, the dictator Putin, okay, I'm not going to put him as any kind of a elected representative. He's a dictator. Runs kangaroo courts and steals oil companies. So his oil is going to be worth a lot more. So, you know, even that old number of $40 billion, his net worth is probably going to go to like, you know, another $20 billion overnight after this attack. So he's going to love it. And despite what he says, none of these people are nice, believe me. I think they're going to do this. I think they're going to do this, but understand why. Understand why. And Iran, they got nuclear weapons. Don't let them fool you, man.